Graceful amber window.
There have been some very specific types of posts that have been haunting our feeds lately, and it usually starts with a story that tugs at your heartstrings. You see a photo of an elderly woman, maybe she's 80 or 90, thereabouts, sitting in a dimly lit room surrounded by piles of some of the most intricate, hyper realistic crochet you've ever seen. The caption is always some variation of, "My grandmother spent months making these, but everyone at the craft fair said that they were ugly. Can we show her some love?" So, on the surface, it's a wholesome request. And because the fiber arts community is built on empathy and deep respect for the labor of our people and our elders, thousands of people hit the like, leave a supportive comment, or share it to their own pages. But then if you look a little closer, or sometimes not even that close, at the fingers that morph into crochet hooks, the stitches that melt into solid plastic looking things, or that piss filter lighting that screams digital hallucination, you realize the truth. There is no grandmother, there is no craft fair. There's only a scammer behind a screen using generative AI to manufacture a pity trap. Today, we're talking about the rise of pity marketing in the craft world, particularly. We're going to look at how AI is being used to weaponize our kindness now, how these sad story engagement farms are actually a front for outright scams, and why the perfection of AI touched photos is creating a toxic environment for real makers who are sharing their actual hardships and their actual products. We're at a point where our empathy is being harvested as a commodity, and it's time we talk about the cost of letting these digital lies go unchecked. This isn't just about a fake photo or video, it's about a calculated multi step grift. These counts aren't accidentally using AI, they're using it as the ultimate bait for pity marketing. By being able to generate images or videos designed to evoke a visceral emotional response, like a crying elderly woman or a homeless creator or a young boy trying to craft and be mocked for it. They bypass our critical thinking at times. We want to be kind, and they know that about us, so we don't look at for the extra fingers or for that hazy sort of halo around the movement or the nonsensical creations themselves. And admittedly, some of them are getting quite good. We're seeing this explode on TikTok and Facebook in particular. At least that's where I've been seeing it. And for some examples, let's look at some of these videos.
Can y'all stay 7 seconds to tell my son his crochet bags aren't ugly?
Here comes the summer. Day.
So we get the idea. Honestly, once you've seen one or two, you've seen them all, and you start to see this repeated pattern. In cases like these, the goal is engagement farming. These posts go viral because people feel a moral obligation to support the underdog. But once the account has harvested enough followers and likes through these fake emotional hooks, the switch happens. They start posting links to exclusive patterns or limited time yarn sales. And this is where it turns into a full blown scam. More often than not, those links lead to phishing sites or shops selling junk patterns that are just AI generated, and you think you're supporting the struggling maker, but you're actually handing your credit card info to a bot or paying $5 for a PDF that is literally non functional gibberish. Or someone who is kind of crocheting, but they're using this facade and lie to sell it to you. And it's not really going to be the AI version that you see marketed to you. These scammers haven't done the work of the designing, testing, and the frogging. They've really just, most of them at least, they've just prompted a computer to hallucinate a masterpiece and then write a sad story to make you feel guilty for not buying it. They're essentially stealing the reputation of a grandmother or the struggling artist to sell you a product that doesn't exist for something that they didn't do, that they didn't work on, that they didn't dedicate the time into. Unfortunately, the danger of these pity traps isn't just that the stories are fake, it's that they serve as a gateway to a massive influx of AI driven scams that are actively poisoning our marketplaces. This isn't just about one bad photo or just an AI video. It's about a systematic devaluation of the work that we do as fiber artists. Let's take a look at the reality from the perspective of some real makers. In this video, Crochet Grove explains how scammers are literally stealing her professional photos, running them through AI to slightly alter the colors or features, and then listing them on Etsy as their own. They aren't just selling a fake dream, they are hijacking the reputation and the hard work of a human being who actually put in the hours to design and test that pattern.
Okay, real talk for anyone that shops for crochet patterns on Etsy, please be careful. There are so many scams happening right now. It's honestly getting out of hand. I've personally had my own photos stolen by scammers who run them through AI to slightly change them just enough to try and pass them as their own. Then they take those photos, list them on Etsy along with the PDF pattern of mine that they've purchased, and try to claim it as theirs. So as you can see on the left is my photos, the real pictures, and on the right are the photos that they asked AI to slightly change so they could try and claim my pattern as theirs. Also this one, you can see there are a lot of elements in the photo that are exactly the same to mine, like the wooden beam that they're sitting on, the weeds on the pavement, and the rock behind. It's honestly so wild that they are now doing this, and I'm going to show you guys a few photos of other AI patterns that are on Etsy. This photo is AI. This is not a real crocheted plushie. And they are getting so good that even in this listing, this is not a real woman. This is an AI video of a woman holding a triceratops that is not real. These teddy bears are not real and is AI as well. So many people are getting tricked and scammed every day. Because not only is it affecting the buyers that are buying the fake patterns, also is affecting the businesses like mine, where I took the time to design this pattern and then someone goes and steals it and is trying to profit off of someone else's work. So just be careful. Please check the shop and read the reviews. Most of the time these shops have reviews like it didn't turn out like the photos, the pattern was confusing. If there's a lot of bad reviews, I would avoid.
Yeah, so that is just gross, honestly. And even when the pattern technically works, the business practices behind it are often incredibly shady, and you can tell that they are um up to something at any level, and they're not being honest, they're not being um ethical within the community, I would say, and I'm pretty sure they're not actually selling their own work. As in the case of Courtney Rose One, demonstrating in this video, she took a chance on an 80-cent pattern that featured what was pretty clearly an AI generated thumbnail. And while she was able to finish the project with a few adjustments, the red flags were still everywhere. The instructions were difficult and seemed to be sliced together. Something was off about that, she said. And the seller's customer service offering her more free patterns when they reached out to her. Hey, let us know, you know, if you have any questions, how things were, and we would really like a rating. She didn't give them a rating, but they'd reach out to them, and then they wanted her to still leave them a 5-star review, and they would give her free patterns in exchange for it. That is weird, and so let's take a look at that.
I need to crochet a Rottweiler, and I see this pattern on Etsy, and it looks like AI, but it's only 80 cents. See, do we get it? I mean, if it's crazy, it's only 80 cents, right? It doesn't look like a real pattern. Or maybe it's a real pattern, but it's not a real photo. I'm gonna do it. It's only 80 cents. It was a real pattern. I made all the pieces, but it's giving plagiarized. The front legs and the hind legs are the same directions, and they don't look the same on the picture. And there's like some like discrepancies of how the pattern is made, like by the directions, like multiple people made it maybe. I'm gonna sew it together. I'm not gonna link it in my bio because I don't want to share that, especially if it was someone who actually made the pattern in the first place and spent a lot of time on it, and someone just stole it. Don't do that. She's finished. Does she look like a Rottweiler? Maybe. Did I have to figure out my own pattern for the legs? Yes. And then I got one of those emails that was like, review this, and then message me if you had any problems. I did, in fact, message. And then the reply was, if you give me 5 stars, I'll give you 2 more free patterns. Like an automated message. Shady, shady lady or man. Shady person. But Rottweiler's done. Kinda, it looks, it's a dog. This dog is done.
So, this is engagement manipulation, as we talked about. These sellers use AI to churn out listings at zero cost, then bribe users for high ratings to bury any negative feedback from people who realize they were sold a hallucination, even if the pattern is passable, even if it's stolen and they just utilize AI to um, run the pictures through so they don't have to make their own mock up version. The suspicion remains, was this pattern stolen from a real designer and fed into the machine? When we buy into these shops, we are fueling a cycle that rewards shady shortcuts over the integrity of human-led design. And this is such a pitfall for beginners. And the most insidious part of this trend isn't just the fake image, as we said, it's the exploitation of human kindness. When a scammer uses AI to generate a photo of the crying grandmother or an artist left behind or mocked at the craft fair, they are weaponizing the very empathy that keeps our community alive. Fiber artists are notoriously supportive. We know how much yarn costs, we know how much labor hurts, and we show up for each other. But these AI powered pity traps, or sadcore posts as some are calling them, create a dangerous cycle of emotional burnout. It starts to desensitize us and we can become we can become more cynical. These accounts are basically designed to harvest thousands of likes and shares from these well-meaning people who just want to be kind. But every time one of these scams is exposed, a little bit of that collective goodwill is then drained. This causes 2 layers of profound harm to real creators. It steals resources from the real struggle. Every like given to a bot and every dollar spent on a junk pattern is resource taken away from the real small business owner who is actually facing a hardship. Whether it's a maker dealing with a chronic illness, a family emergency, or simply the crushing weight of corporate-dominated market, their true stories are being drowned out by automated tragedies that are literally too perfect to be true and being generated at such high volumes that it's just drowning them out. And then you have the reputation trap for real makers. This is where even minor AI use it gets in this weird area. In a climate where the community is just hyper vigilant about pity grifters, any hint of AI, even just if you want to use it to clean up a messy studio background or smooth out a photo, this can trigger suspicion. I won't say whether or not you can do this. I just would personally not recommend it because of one, the community, and two, these other scammy aspects that would harm your reputation. We are seeing real people sharing real hardships and being accused of being bots because their photos look maybe a little too polished or vaguely AI-ish. People are just very kind of triggery at this point. And it's not without cause, but it is just causing this weirdness in the community. When we use AI to sanitize our reality, we are inadvertently adopting that visual language of the scammers. In 2026, authenticity isn't just an aesthetic, it's a survival trait. If you want people to believe your story and support your work, you cannot afford to use a tool really that is built to simulate reality rather than inhabit it. So much of the advice for this year from people in marketing or social media are recommending to try to be as human as possible. Let your mistakes be seen, let your messiness show. Because AI can really cripple you at some point. We're seeing it with the big businesses like Hobby recently announcing how they're using AI increasingly and how everyone's reacting to that, as well as Line Brand. And like I mentioned, it's on Etsy, it's everywhere. And so people are getting fed up with it and are looking more and more how they can support the real makers and real artists. So the more you can make sure that you do appear that way, I would just recommend that that is for the better. And so, more keeping away from AI is just within this community, within this climate, um, the safer route to go. And we have to realize that our empathy is a non renewable resource and that these scammers are trying to drain the well for a few cents of profit. When AI is used to simulate the hardship, it doesn't just sell that fake pattern, but devaluing the actual lived experience of every maker who has ever been vulnerable enough to share their true struggles with the community. Many of us have tried to share our struggles with small businesses, or our craft, or other things. I've done it myself. And so it makes it scarier to be vulnerable in an authentic way, in a true way. As crafters, we need to shift our metric of value from the sad story to proof of the work. We need to stop rewarding the emotional hook and start rewarding the real labor. And when we see it, to comment on it, to like it, to encourage people who are actually doing the work that we say we value. So what can we do? We can stop the scroll in reports. So when you see a post that feels too perfect or features a grandmother who looks more like a Pixar render than a person, don't engage. Engagement is the currency these scammers trade in, even if it's negative. Report the post for what it is: misinformation and scamming. Then support the messy process. Seek out the creators who show you the long and awkward reality, the ones who post the frogged yarn, the messy desk, the close ups where you can actually see the tension of the stitches, their real fingers. That is really the kind of only verified batch right now that matters in this AI world, is when you can really show, hey, I'm human and this is my real work. Then for yourself, be fiercely human. If you are a maker, don't feel pressure to compete with the perfection of AI. Your shaky hands, your imperfect lighting, your honest voice are the very things that prove you're real. As I said, in a sea of these digital hallucinations, your humanity is your greatest asset. Fiber arts are one of the last best kind of oh no, that's not true, but it's really something that has maintained its physical form and continue to be something people look to for this tactile expression of art, fashion, creativity. And a computer can hallucinate 1,000 images of a sweater, but can never feel the weight of the wool or the pride of weaving in that final end. So let's protect that. Let's keep our empathy for the people who are actually doing the work. Let's call out the scammers. Let's protect the beginners, the new people coming into the industry, so they don't fall for that themselves. And definitely our, the older generation and grandparents who see that. I get people coming up to me with pictures like, oh, did you see this lady on Facebook? She crocheted this massive tank. And I got to be like, oh, yeah, or tell them, hey, that's kind of AI. Um, and often they kind of don't get maybe, why that's a big deal, but it definitely is for us within the community. And yeah, I am admittedly being tired from it, and I anticipate it just getting better and better. So really, the more that you can show yourself as human, the more you can show yourself that you are creating and this does come from you and it has a heart and soul to it, the better you are as a maker. And if you are a maker as in you're making your own things, you're making your own patterns, and for those who are looking where to spend your money, uh, just be careful of that. Look out for kind of these signs. Look for what people are saying and learn to identify these. It's like any other scams before. You start to see a pattern. So maybe don't jump too quickly if you can. Use some critical thinking. Learn to identify AI as best you can. But again, I think a lot of us are going to fall for it more and more. But all we can do is our best. So yeah, that's what I have to say. And if you have seen any of these AI trends that are different from the ones I've shared, do note them in the comments for other people to know. But also, how about we highlight one of our favorite creators for people to check out? That'd be very cool. Who might I think of? I make so many of my own items. I don't tend to buy many patterns, but I follow some people. Lulu Bunny on Instagram. I think she just came out with a new pattern, if I'm not mistaken, and she has some beautiful other patterns. She's most well known for her butterfly vest, which is beautiful and lacy and just gorgeous. I've definitely made my own, and I made a dress from her. So definitely check her out. I'll try to remember to link her in the description. But link your favorite or tell people your favorite recent pattern makers or just crochet or knit makers in general that you've been enjoying, so we can check them out and see some real makers doing real work.